Welcome, everyone. It's another special episode of the Buck Stops here, and you love it when I bring Rob the Yankee, Robert Dobek, right here on the show to talk baseball. And I invite anyone who has sort of a Hall of Fame take and whatnot. Hey, come on, hit me up. It's not that hard. Ask Rob.
Yeah,
And we said yes.
I've come back like 6 times now.
Yes, absolutely. And I think Rob, I don't know if you were trying to suck up to me on this one. You said, hey, we're an all-90s team because we didn't say it like this. We said, I'm going to paraphrase. You're old and you remember this real time. But I am old and I do remember this real time.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say I kind of wish I grew up in the 90s because I mean, you look at the type of hitters you guys got to witness in the 90s. I mean, compared to today, I mean, the hitters today are nothing to what the hitters were back in the 90s.
The game has changed so much. I mean, like I was talking to another friend of a similar age, and I remember going to the ballpark, the old exhibition stadium, watching the Toronto Blue Jays. And, like your minimum expectation of a starter was 7 innings.
Yeah.
And now if a starter goes 5 innings, allows maybe 1 run, 2 runs, he gets a standing O. That would have been crazy back
exactly.
Back in
There are also, I bet, even on the worst team or a mediocre to below average team, there were at least a couple guys hitting 300 on a team. In every lineup. But now there's probably, I think there were less than 10 guys that hit 300 this whole year in the major leagues.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's interesting how my video is sort of doing that. I got to figure out why it moves. It's got to sell. It's sort of does all this on its own, but that's not here nor there. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a totally different game, good or bad, depending on your point of view. One thing we didn't have was multiple pitchers who could throw over 100.
Yeah, but I mean, if you had guys like Greg Maddux, they didn't have to throw 100. They just he had all the finesse in the world.
I have a feeling that name might come up.
Oh, so, yeah. Yeah.
I love this suggestion, Rob, because also, I mean, the NFL does all decades teams, but MLB doesn't, and they still have.
Well, it should. It should. I mean, in recent years, they started doing all first team all MLB, second team all MLB. Like I'm for that 100. Like they I think they started in 2019. They started doing it. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's great, but I mean, I guess it's a fan thing that you could make up from all 90s teams, all 80s teams, 70s teams, but
I'm going to after this actually.
Yeah,
I actually want to do all MLB from right the beginning, but that's another project.
Yeah,
like right from the 1870s. But moving on.
Yeah, let's do the 90s first.
Yeah, let's do this. So, I guess we'll sort of like alternate, and with what we have, and we'll just go around the diamond. So I'm going to start off with catcher, and this was really tough for me. Realistically, this was a battle between 2 players. And I went back and forth over and over and over. And you can probably guess who they are. It's Ivan Rodriguez and Mike Piazza. And I'm trying to, and because I was alive through a lot of this, I try to like remember what I thought at the time. And in real time, I was a bigger fan of Rodriguez.
Yeah, I went with Pudge too.
Okay. Yeah. So
I think you got to go based on, I'm not disputing Piazza was a better hitter than Pudge, but when you factor in the 8 gold gloves in the 90s and he hit 300 on the dot through the years of 91 through 99. So to me, like Pudge gets it over Piazza based on defense. Although Piazza was not as bad defensively as people think he was, but compared to Pudge, he's not.
No, yeah, exactly. Also that he handled the pitching staff better. Piazza was that sort of darling because he had the better story. He was drafted favor to Tommy Lasorda. Or Tommy
Lasorda. 62nd round.
Yeah, so it was like a round that doesn't even remotely exist anymore.
Yeah.
And Piazza was a phenomenal player, but Irod was the complete package. And
I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree. I mean, I would understand if you told me Pudge hit like 250 as opposed to Piazza hitting like 315, then maybe you'd have an argument. But just defensively alone, like you got to put Pudge there, and Pudge won an MVP, and
yeah,
Piazza
exactly.
didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went back and forth, and it was a real hard one. And yeah, in the
Yeah.
end, I guess we both agreed that our all decade catcher is Ivan Rodriguez.
All right. First base, I went with Jeff Bagwell.
Okay.
Who did you go with?
I didn't go with Bagwell. This one I had to think about this too, because sometimes your memory plays tricks on you.
Yeah.
And the guy I eventually picked, I was gonna like pick him at a different position because I didn't see if I think in reality he actually played more games at DH. But we're talking about the decade of the 90s. He
Yeah.
became DH after from 2000 on. And I went with the big hurt, Frank Thomas.
Yeah. I picked him as my DH.
Yeah,
He's my DH. It was close. We'll get to Frank Thomas later on, but I went with it was close between him and Bagwell offensively, but defensively, Bagwell was a better first baseman than Frank Thomas was.
well, I'll go with why again. I went with Thomas again because he was going to be my DH until I was doing more research. Like, oh, he played more games at first than I remembered in that decade.
Yeah,
So
I understand that.
And so I looked at what he did there. So he's got the 2 MVPs, four OPS titles, an OPS of the decade of over 1.013.
You know,
But
so honestly, looking at Frank Thomas, I think he was the best all around hitter in the 90s, if you ask me. Like, I would put his numbers up against. You have to remember, Bonds didn't start juicing until supposedly 99. So he batted 320 in the 90s with almost 1,600 hits, 1,000 RBIs, and 300 home runs with a 440 on base.
yeah.
Like, yeah, he blows Barry away offensively.
Well, here's some other people I thought about. Rafael Palmeiro, Fred McGriff,
Oh, yeah.
Mark Grace, who I was.
Yeah, we talked about Mark Grace. We talked about him last time.
We did, yeah. And I was this close to picking Mark McGwire. But
I got you. But McGwire, I think you got to go with all around hitters. Like,
well, you know what made me switch though, and again, it's hard because we have 2025 knowledge.
Yeah,
but we know now that around the late 90s, some people started to juice.
Yeah,
Wire was one of those guys, and he was a rising tide. So he had more home runs and more power numbers than Frank did. But when Frank was doing that, there were hardly any peers. When Frank was still hitting at the same rate he was in the late 90s. And then we talked about this last time. Brady Anderson is there, like with a 50 home run season. That makes no sense.
Oops.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so I guess
yeah.
Got him
I mean, I agree with you on Thomas. I just had him at DH as opposed to first base, which I mean, I think we'll both understand each other's lists and reasonings after all of our lists are like named. But who do you got at second base?
Oh, this one was easy. Super easy. I got to see him play many times. Someone who was very beneficial. You talked about like you wish we were there around the 90s. He would not have been happy to be in this era because he was a massive sex pest. And I heard shit about this just living in Toronto.
Yeah. I mean, but it's about what he did on the field. So It doesn't really. So yeah, Roberto Alomar, in my opinion, that's a no-brainer. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was
no-brainer. I mean, Biggio was a lot of people call Biggio a compiler, but he had some really good years with the Astros, but you got to give it to Alomar.
Absolutely. He was so good that his brother became a 6-time All-Star at catcher. And he sucked.
he had a couple of. There were maybe a couple All Star
All right,
games he
okay.
deserved.
I'm
Yeah,
exaggerating, but Sandy Alomar was
yeah.
voted in.
I got you.
I remember him being voted in a year that he didn't even play at that
Oh,
point.
really?
I could be
All right.
wrong on that, but
We'll have to do another video on him to
uh,
say how many All Stars did he deserve.
not six.
Yeah, maybe two. We'll say.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, Roberto Alomar. I think yeah, you got to give it to Alomar. He was a 300 lifetime hitter on the dot. I believe, right?
I think so. But 308 for the decade, 8 Gold Glove,
Yeah,
you know, a little bit of power. But back
yeah.
then,
Only didn't spit on that umpire's face.
oh, dude, you know what though? We heard AIDS rumors about him back then.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if they put it back up, but they took down his retired number.
They shouldn't have done that. Like I get. To me, once the number's retired, it should stay retired. Like, don't touch it. Don't like they're not kicking him out of the Hall of Fame. So like, yeah,
OJ still hangs proudly in Orchard Park.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Just leave it alone.
Uh,
So
Shortstop.
shorts. I went with Cal Ripken Jr. Did you go with him?
I did not.
You went with Cincinnati.
I did.
Uh, okay, Barry Larkin. I don't know why I keep forgetting that name. It was close between him and Barry Larkin, but I went with Cal Ripken Jr. because he played more games than Barry Larkin did, and in my opinion, games played matters. But I could, yeah, I could understand somebody taking Larkin because yeah, he had more of his prime was in the '90s, but I went. The numbers were very similar, but when you factor in that Cal Ripken Jr. was playing every game, like you got to take that into consideration.
And I did. But you know, then I also remembered Larkin, you know, winning the MVP in '96.
I
Larkin
thought it
also,
was 95, but yeah, yeah.
was it
No,
'95?
96, 96. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also remember him being the anchor for the biggest upset that I ever remember in all of sports that really doesn't get talked about, or all in baseball rather.
In
Since
1990.
nobody had the Reds sweeping Oakland for nothing. Nobody.
Yeah, especially after yeah, the A's were the team back then, but the we have to do an episode on that Reds owner, Margie, whatever his name is. Oh my God.
That's another one I remember in real time, thinking like,
She
how
wouldn't give them. She was so upset that they swept them because they couldn't they wouldn't have been able to come back to the Cincinnati. I think right.
that yeah, because if if they would have came back
Yeah.
for a couple more games, she could have bought more Nazi memorabilia. Look it up, kids. I'm not making
Hey,
that up.
no, no,
Yeah,
no. There's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. But
sadly,
anyway, yeah, I could understand going with Larkin, but for me, I went with Cal Ripken
I
because
love
of
Cal.
games played.
I love Cal. Actually, I've
Yeah.
gone on record a few times saying that as great as he was underrated defensively.
Well, he was a very good defensive player,
But he lost out.
especially when you fact
Go ahead.
especially if you factor in he never took a game off,
Mhm.
and he had to mantle shortstop, the second hardest position.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
third base. Who did you go with?
I was this close to taking Chipper Jones.
Oh, really? Who did you pick?
I mean, the reason I didn't pick though Chipper, like going back to a comment you just made, you know, like games played sort of mattered, and he didn't.
Okay, yeah,
Well, he didn't really arrive until '95.
you're right about that.
Yeah. So
Who'd you pick?
I went with someone. The only person the first person I've got. I think I've got another one who is not in the Hall of Fame and is probably not going to get there. I went with Matt the Bat Williams.
Matt Williams.
Yeah.
He actually, yeah, he got traded out of San Francisco to make room for Jeff Kent. He had some good years, and he had some good years in the first half of the '90s. But Was he a good player in Cleveland, or was he? Is
No,
that
no,
when he
he
tailed
was
off?
okay, but there wasn't a whole lot of other superstar third basemen. Like
Yeah.
Chipper's the bigger star. So if we were to do half decades, which could be a lot of fun at one point, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Chipper
Oh
destroys everyone in the second half. Matt probably still has the first half, but barely. But he had the most home runs of any third baseman, 300, most hits of
yeah.
third baseman, 1,438, a slugging percentage of over 500, 508, and I'm big on slugging. And he was good defensively with 3 Gold Gloves. Matt is sort of like the guy I picked mainly because no one else stood out.
Yeah. I went with Chipper because I
Oh,
didn't
you went
really
with
think.
Chipper. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think any. Because like you said, nobody else stood out. I could understand Matt Williams, but I think you got to give it to Chipper because he won an MVP and he was kind of the offensive poster boy for that for those '90s Braves teams. So that's why I went with Chipper. And his 5 years while in the '90s were so good that I think like the guy I think his numbers were a little better than Williams, average wise.
Overall, yeah, actually
Yeah,
way better. But in for that decade, which is I was going by the assignment.
you know what? You know what? I probably should have. I, I don't fault you for taking Williams. I probably should have.
I
Yeah,
I was about
but
to.
yeah, I mean, I would
Out of it.
probably. But I went with Chipper.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
So
right.
outfield, I had two super easy ones.
Well, I mean, are we doing left, center, right, or just three
I could pick
outfielders?
three.
All right. All right. Who are you three?
Because I was gonna sort of like do that, but then I sort of realized I think the way I went, it sort of does play off that way. Because I have one definite center fielder, and then others who sort of like
I think we both I think two of the three we agree on, but I'm sure
yeah,
there's one guy that we're gonna have to differ on.
possibly.
So who did you go with for left, center, and right?
Well, okay. Barry Bonds was my first pick.
I went with him. Yeah,
Yeah, 3 MVPs, and like you said, we believe that he started juicing around 99 or 2000. The
yeah,
numbers look like it might be more 2000, but whatever.
yeah.
Regardless, that's only 1 year we're taking out, where he did 361 home runs and 343 stolen bases. We forget because the lasting image of Barry Bonds is the man with a giant head and
Oh
giant
yeah,
everything else. Uh, he looked like the inverse of a Tom Brady football, completely flat and
exactly. I mean, he was. I wouldn't say he was a 4.5 tool because he had an okay throwing arm, but he was a great all around ball player. In fact, if you were to make a lineup, you could argue he should bat leadoff. Like if we were to make a lineup,
the way things are now. Yeah, I mean, like back
yeah,
then it was inconsiderable.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Somebody ever
so
thought
yeah,
of
I
that?
yeah I went with Bonds obviously. So uh, in center field, I got Ken Griffey Jr. Did you go with it? Yeah,
That
that's
was the
a
obvious one.
yeah. No, no, I don't think those two are debatable. Who did you go with in right field?
This was tricky. So I went with I had 5 different people I was bouncing around. Albert Bell, who we've talked about before.
Yeah,
Check that out if you want to hear Rob's case on why Albert Bell should be in the Hall of Fame. That's already up.
Joey Bell.
Joey Bell.
Joey Bell.
Larry Walker, I considered.
Yeah.
Burnett Williams, I also actually was kicking around. But I went with, and this might be my bias. Uh, One of my favorite players in the 80s, actually, my favorite player of the 1980s was Tony Gwynn. And that's who I went with.
I went with him too.
Oh, did you? Okay. I had
I
a,
did.
yeah, because
So it was between. So off the top of my head, I thought Bell. Bell, I know played right field, and I was gonna pick Bell. I really wanted to put Albert Bell here, but I then looked at it and said, you know what? If you're talking about, we're putting the best all around players at the position. Tony Gwynn was a really good defensive right fielder,
hmm,
and Bell wasn't. Also, factor in that Tony Gwynn hit 344 in the 90s.
Right? I mean,
And yeah.
insane.
I mean, like, also, I mean, I have enough power in the lineup. Like, I think we could get away with a contact hitter in the
And
perhaps in the butt. I wouldn't bat him leadoff because in the 90s, that's when his speed kind of evaporated, but he was still.
oh,
I mean, listen, I think not for the strike, he probably would have hit 400 in 94.
yeah, actually, I'm sort of glad you sort of brought that up because 94 is a fascinating year for me. I did another show. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I've got a few that are in the can, but I have to like add videos to it, so I haven't really got them up yet. But it's where I look at old like games that sort of like matter. And we did the
Yeah.
94 All-Star game, and I wanted to do that one because that was a month before the strike.
Yeah.
And so
And leading up to the season, like the last like 50 games, he was hitting over 400.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he would have. I think he would have done it because as the schedule for the rest of the year for the Padres, the vast majority of those games they were playing against. They were playing a very weak schedule with marginal pitching, like marginal pitching was not a problem for Tony Gwynn, as we all know, right?
well, Gwynn also, the more I look back on it, because like I think I've mentioned to you before, I've always sort of like been partial to those spray hitters with high
Yeah.
average. Uh, but as I look back and I think about him more, he was the best of discipline and the worst of discipline. I remember watching a show which you probably don't even know, you've never heard of it, called This Week in Baseball. And what
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
yeah, so what and you there's no reason why you would have, but what it was a 30 minute compilation of the week, which I mean, if you'd only get to see like one or two games on TV,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I'm trying to remember who was that. I think I want to say Mel Allen. I might be wrong on that.
Mel Allen, the old Yankees
Okay, so yeah,
announcer.
yeah. So and then there was another thing on it, and I don't know if it was that thing, but Tony Gwynn in the 80s was studying computer stuff.
Yeah, he invented he kind of invented the video because he in the MLB Network documentary he actually had his wife videotape his at bats.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he actually later on he actually out of his own pocket installed a video room in the Padres clubhouse so everybody can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like he was I remember him talking about like how he was like basically gushing over Ted Williams when he finally got to meet him.
Yeah.
But where I see he's also the worst of discipline. He got fat.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it didn't affect his hitting, but I mean, it did affect his base running.
right, it affected his base running. It's still.
I mean, because early on in his career, he was I wouldn't say he was Ricky Henderson, but he was a good base stealer early on in his career.
He was decent, but yeah, I mean, like, but
I
he
mean, yeah.
probably was.
I mean, he was able to advance from. I
Well,
mean, he was able to score on a double from first base
but I mean,
easily.
like when we look at Bonds and Gwynn from the start of 1990 to the end to 2000, both of them put on 50 pounds in totally different ways.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it still didn't stop him from hitting 344 yeah. But I mean, so yeah, I mean, like yeah, I went with Gwynn over a guy over Albert Bell because tie goes if it's close, you go with the best defender,
Mhm.
in my opinion. But I did not think you were going to pick Tony Gwynn, but
I guess you didn't know how much I was a huge fan of his. So
yeah, I have his jersey in my house
oh yeah,
and his bobblehead. Yeah, I like Tony Gwynn. I like him, but yeah, I would not have taken Larry Walker because you have to factor in like Coors Field, what he did away from Coors Field, and yeah, he also missed a lot of games too. But I'm surprised you went with Tony Gwynn, and Okay, so DH, who did you go with at DH? If it was
Another,
because I went with Frank Thomas.
I got another Toronto Blue Jay from the '93 World Series. I got Paul Molitor.
Oh, Paul Molitor. Wait, so I don't have a problem with that, but wasn't he more of an '80s guy?
Yes, but when I looked at what people did at DH for that decade, it was between him and Harold Baines. And
Oh,
I
Harold
thought of Frank
Baines.
Thomas, and then I went back. It's like, okay, so he didn't play as much DH as I thought in that decade. So I flipped it to Molitor, who did lead all DHs in hits, 1,568, only 115 home runs, but he had 160 swipes, which for a DH in his mid to late 30s, pretty good. 30,
Yeah.
batted 313 for the decade.
Did he play the whole decade though?
No, no, he was done after 98 was his last year.
Okay. All right. That's not a terrible pick. I mean,
I'll take that as a compliment. Hey, you're not terrible.
yeah. Well, I mean, I told you why. So off the top of my head, I actually thought about putting Albert Bell as the DH and having Frank Thomas play first base, but but I got, I think Bagwell deserved to be, was a better defender at first base than Frank Thomas. And Frank Thomas had better numbers than Albert Bell. Like, I think, like I said, I think Frank Thomas was the best all around hitter in the '90s.
I think if you and I were doing something where it's like, okay, pick your all-time lineup that you want to win everything, I'd be changing some stuff potentially. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So starting pitcher, who do you have?
another tough one. It was really between two guys. I'll give my honorable mentions to Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, and believe it or not, Kevin Brown, who doesn't get enough
Yeah,
love.
Kevin Brown had some good years.
Did.
Yeah, he had some good years.
But I was
But
back
you
and
went with Greg Maddux, right?
I went with Greg Maddux, back and forth between him and Roger. And what sort of like
Yeah.
swung me towards Greg over Roger. Again, the '90s, when we're looking at that particular decade, it was high octane, high offense. So a 2.54 ERA and a 1.06 whip, which is good.
Yeah.
'90s was incredible considering
Oh, yeah.
power exploded. The decade leader in wins, 176. Not the leader in strikeouts, with
Well,
1,764.
that wasn't his fort. He wasn't a strikeout pitcher. It was close between Maddox and Johnson. I went with Greg Maddux because Randy Johnson won more Cy Youngs in the 2000s, believe it or not, than in the '90s. I would, but if I had a preference, I probably would take Randy Johnson over Greg Maddux because of the strikeouts. But obviously, Maddox I went with as the starter.
Okay.
Who'd you go with as the reliever?
Well, like Paul Molitor, somebody who didn't finish the decade, and there wasn't a standout. I mean, as I'm looking at this again, we got to remember the inflated hitting, especially in that second half, and someone who isn't necessarily what Mariano Rivera became, but the only reliever who was an MVP of that decade, and that's Dennis Eckersley.
Eckersley. I did not. That's a good pick. I obviously went with Rivera. I know he only
Rivera didn't do that much in the '90s, did he?
well 95 he was, well 95 and '96 he was an elite eighth inning guy, but then '97 he took on and became Mariano Rivera. I guess you could call me a little biased because I saw how dominant Rivera was, but I mean, I don't think that's like a controversial, like
Hmm.
it's not like if you had to come up with five guys, I'm sure Rivera's on that list, right?
Yeah, actually,
In the
but
'90s.
my number two, because again, I'm trying to like span the whole decade. My number two is somebody who nobody ever talks about for the Hall of Fame at all, including me, John Wetland.
Yeah, he was the closer in '96 for the Yankees.
Yeah,
He was there for 1 year.
Most
But
saves
Wetland had,
of the decade is him.
yeah, really the most saves, really?
Yeah, blew my mind too. And then I'm looking
Okay.
at I was looking at everything comparatively to Eckersley and Rivera. I didn't really consider that much again because of I mean, if it's a half decade, it's a no.
That's fair. That you know what? That's a fair
Yeah.
analysis.
So yeah,
But
that's where I went with Eck.
yeah, yeah. Did you
Still
make
the
like
thing.
a lot? Did you make a lineup for like how you would bat the lineups?
No, let's see if what I would do here. That's a good question. Who would I bat first? Well, Alomar always batted second.
Really? I thought he was a leadoff hitter because I have Alomar leading off.
Well, I mean, like I remember him Toronto, so he was always batting behind Devon White.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like White was a quicker but it was a different mindset back then, right? Where
True, true.
you're putting whoever you think can get on the base most, and
Yeah.
so I guess based on who's here, well, maybe who would I do? Maybe I do Larkin first, Alomar second, and I could flip that easy. Uh,
Yeah.
Although Tony Gwynn's such a great, he's so good to get on base. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change that. I know. Actually, I'm gonna bat Gwynn third, just to sort of like push.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna bat
Wow.
him third, only so that now we're going power, power, power for the next three ones.
All right.
So then I've got Frank. No, I'm going up. Frank, Barry, Ken
Yeah.
as my 4, 5, 6. Uh, God, Molitor's so good, and he's not even going to be in the top 6. That's crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Irod 7. So who do I have left? Oh, I got Chipper. No, I don't have Chipper. What the hell am I thinking?
Matt Williams,
Matt Williams, sorry. Matt 8th, and then 9th is
Paul Molitor.
yeah.
Yeah. I have Alomar leading off at second. I got Bonds batting second in left field because you have a guy who's a great base runner and gets on base who isn't clogging the bases.
Mhm.
Frank bats third at DH. Griffey bats cleanup in center. Bagwell at first bats fifth. Tony Gwynn bats sixth in right field. I got Pudge batting seventh as the catcher, Chipper batting eighth, and Cal Ripken Jr. batting ninth. And as Cal is the only guy who didn't hit 300 for the entire 90s in that lineup.
Yeah, and how killer lineup is all of this, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. That's an insane lineup. I mean, you have all these guys are Hall of Famers.
All right, so let me close off with one here. Who's your manager?
Oh, I mean, I guess you got to go if we're going based off of championships, it's got to be Joe Torre, right?
Yeah,
If you're just going based on championships, but I mean, Bobby Cox, yeah, Bobby Cox would be a good one. Yeah, who's the manager for the Blue Jays?
That would be the underappreciated Cito Gaston.
Is he still alive?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going on based on championships, then yeah, you gotta consider that. Yeah, this would be a fun team. Hey, do you have your all time like Blue Jays team, right?
I have an all-time top 50. I never really put them in positional.
Yeah, because that would I mean, because like with the Toronto Blue Jays, that's actually something you have to think about. But like for the New York Yankees, they've had so many legendary players that it's not even an exciting list. It's like
You know what would be an exciting list to me
what?
is could you put together your all-time Yankees team, your 25 players who would be your roster to go forward, and could the next 25 that you'd put together be good enough to win a championship?
So like it would be like 26 through 50.
Yeah. And well, I mean, you're building a team, not necessarily ranking them But say like, okay, I've got so like Yogi's your catcher,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know if Posada would sort of like be in your top 25, but Posada might be your catcher for
Posada would probably be the fifth catcher on that list
Elston
based on how
Howard,
good. Yeah,
Munson.
Elston
Yeah,
Howard, Thurman Munson, Bill Dickey.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
like think of that, right? I mean, you could
yeah.
Mike Messina, for example, would probably not be a top five starter.
No, not even.
Yeah,
Not even. He probably I fit yeah, not even. Like, you know what? So all time so like every team has their like franchise four type of players for the like Mount Rushmore of teams. Like Derek Jeter's not even on that Mount Rushmore. Not or Yogi. Like it's Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle. Like Jeter is nowhere on that there because of all the legendary players.
five all
What?
time. I have him number five all time.
Yeah.
So
Not even five. Yeah.
that's
I
where I
mean,
have
like,
him.
yeah. Well, I mean, you have Jeter fifth all time.
I think so. I have to check, but I think that's where I had him last.
Yeah. I got to give it to Yogi because he was a catcher and he won 10 World Series.
Three
But
MVP. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, what would your franchise four be for the Blue Jays?
Oh, let's think about that. Man, what would it be? I know I'm going to say something and I'm going to like realize that I've forgotten a whole bunch of stuff.
Is Jose Bautista on it?
Might be. He might be.
I I liked Batista growing up. I always enjoyed facing him.
Let's see. Give me a sec here. I could actually tell you who I had when I ranked them before, and it'll probably not be much different. I know Dave Stieb's on it. The pitcher was a big deal in the '80s for us.
Is Roy Halladay on it?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually look here and tell you here because I have it all somewhere. Dun, 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 dun. So you can tell I'm not prepared for this one. You're throwing me off my game. Dun, dun, dun. Who do I have? Why do I have that? Okay. Sometimes I'm just looking at all my. Oh, while I'm looking at that, I saw that Alex Manoah is now at an Atlanta Brave.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, what? Yeah.
Okay. Here's my top four: Stieb, Halladay, Bautista, Delgado.
Yeah, Delgado. We've talked about him before.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah,
somebody who's really underappreciated, but if you look at his career, it's like, my God, he was so good. Tony Fernandez at number five.
he had a good career.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's my top five.
yeah. I mean, because Roberto Alomar, say what you want, he wasn't there that long,
Well,
right?
right. So like when I do my top 50 lists, I try to combine eras of greatness along with longevity. So it's that delicate balance that you try to do, and it's
Yeah.
really hard. Like Alex Rodriguez actually in Texas is a hard one because his 3 years were so good.
Oh yeah, they were.
Dunk.
I mean, like a lot of people, like an all-time Yankees lineup. A lot of people have Reggie Jackson as the DH, which I don't agree with that because he was only there for 5 years.
Did he even play DH when he was there? Didn't they have him in right?
Well, yeah, yeah, they had him in right, but if you had to put anybody at DH, like most all-time Yankee teams have Reggie at DH, but like he wouldn't be the DH.
Wouldn't
Like
have played DH.
yeah, but I mean, you know what? Honestly, Judge is probably the DH at this point if you're making an all-time Yankees team.
I mean, Reggie would be like you talk about that second 25. Reggie would be in that second 25.
He would probably would. He'd probably be on the all like if we made an all 25 man first team, he's not on for each
No, no.
franchise. He's on the second team.
And then that'd be fun. Like, okay, would that second team be a World Series contender? And based on the Yankees' history, you'd have to say yes.
Yeah, I mean he's Mr. October, but I mean like the Yankees have had so many legend players that like yeah.
Like it'd be when you look at the Yankees' history. not that you want to say there's any weakness, there really isn't, but it is sort of like more bat heavy than glove than
Oh
mound.
yeah, well,
So
100%. I 100% agree. Like the Yankees they've had very good starting pitching. Beside, although they did have Whitey Ford,
but
who
Whitey
I mean, a
came back.
lot of people. Whitey Ford is one of the greatest left-handed pitchers, starting pitchers of all time. He's a Hall of Fame. But like,
So Whitey's
but
on your
yeah, he's the ace.
roster.
But like the Yankee history is built on hitting, like hitters. Dodgers history is built on starting pitching.
Very true.
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah, that would be fun. Okay, maybe that's our next project.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like there are a lot of teams that can put together an all time team, like the Cardinals, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Giants, but I would put the Yankees all time team up against probably any team. I mean, like
Oh yeah, I would too.
yeah, I mean, like basically everybody in the lineup's a Hall of Famer. I mean, like
We're
yeah,
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and then who knows? You might get another World Series as we're recording this. We're
you
recording
never.
by the time this goes up, though, the season postseason will be over,
Yeah, probably,
and it's
and
possible
it
that
could be
Rob won't
over.
talk to
It
me.
could be over tomorrow because I'm
Over,
going to the
over for
game
you,
tomorrow. Yeah, it might be over tomorrow. Hopefully not.
over for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, not if Jeff Hoffman is appearing and
Okay, well they still have to get there first.
would you have kept Mona or were you like
Manoah,
Alec Mona, or were you done with him?
I it's a shame because like I loved the first time I saw him when he got called up. He had this swagger, he had this brilliant suit on, he looked like a star, and he was until he wasn't. It's
You you got to do it more than 1 year.
I've never I'm sure there's other examples, but I've never seen anything like this that didn't have piles of injuries before.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Pryor had an incredible first year, but his stuff he got hurt. But like, I don't know. I mean, like,
I
I'm
hope
sure if he,
I hope he comes back. I really do, but we'll see.
yeah. I mean, it depends. If he goes to the right team with the right type of structure, I'm sure there's something there.
Not if he's in his own head.
Oh, yeah. Right structure means like you have to keep your head in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm cheering for him, but I don't blame them. There's nothing
Yeah, they gave him. Yeah,
opportunity after opportunity, and sometimes you just got to cut bait.
yeah,
And
yeah.
well, it's not working here, and best of luck somewhere else.
I agree. I mean, like honestly, that my view is if you have a player on a team that it's not working here, I don't care what the potential is. Like, who cares if he flourishes somewhere else? It's if it's not working here, it's not working here.
Yeah, yeah, I really really hope he is able to sort of make a comeback as he was so exciting to watch, and not
Yeah,
one reason in a very short period of time from Alec.
yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess with that, that brings us to a close. Wherever you are, wherever you may be, make today count because it never comes again unless time travel is real. I don't think it is.
Never know. Maybe it'll happen one day.
Well, it could. I've been watching the Back to the Future over and over. So, Mike,
Yeah,
sometimes I sort of like wonder about that. So, like, you're sort of like going from place to place or like time to time. What if there's sort of like a box, like right when you're going through, and then all of a sudden your head goes into a box? I don't know.
you never know.
Yeah, I watch way too much sci-fi. Amazingly, I've been
Back
for years. Who knew? But
Back to the Future. I haven't seen that movie in a minute.
that came out when I was young, and you weren't even born. You weren't even thought of yet.
Yeah, I was probably negative 20.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
But we'll take care, everybody.
All right, take care. Bye.